Thursday, May 22nd edition of the Carolina Weather Video. Meteorologist Matthew East here with you. Wanted to start off again with a look at the Avalon Pier web camera this morning. I really like this camera shot as you near sunrise. Kind of a neat perspective looking out over the Atlantic Ocean. The temperature is pretty mild across the region, 72 there along that portion of the North Carolina Outer Banks. And the dew point up there at 65 as well. We have some pretty muggy conditions all around the region. Now today, another day of action out of the ACC baseball tournament. Again, 3 games on the docket. It's going to be quite warm around the Triad region, including there, of course, at the Newbridge Bank Park, where the ACC tournament's taking place. Temperatures by mid-afternoon in the upper 80s, pretty muggy. Only a very limited chance of an isolated storm. Overall, the coverage of showers and storms today looks to be pretty limited, which I'll get into in just a second. Highs yesterday, pretty warm, mid-80s, upper 80s in some spots, even 91 down in Columbia. Currently, it is 60s and 70s in most spots, and pretty muggy, too. Here are our dew point temperatures, many spots in the 60s for dew points. Certainly a summer-like feel to the air mass out there this morning. Yesterday, had a pretty good disturbance develop in the evening hours in the Ohio Valley and drop down our way. I'll show you more of that in just a second. There's your next cold front. That'll play a role in our weather tomorrow and bring us some very nice weather behind it for the weekend. Now there's your cloud cover, and this is what's left of that disturbance that moved through parts of the region overnight. Just a few decaying areas of shower activity and some leftover clouds. Still some pretty big thunderstorms at the time I'm cutting this video in parts of Kentucky and southern Indiana. There's also been some pretty significant thunderstorms this morning in parts of Pennsylvania and Maryland. Another complex of storms further to the west in sections of Kansas and Nebraska, and that's just continuing to ride around the northern edge of a big upper level ridge. Now, this was the radar from about 8 o'clock in the evening yesterday until 5 o'clock this morning. And watch this complex of storms develop over Kentucky. Produced a good bit of wind damage along its path, but about the time it reached the mountains, it really began to weaken and fall apart, and it was just a remnant area of showers then that affected parts of the Piedmont zones of North Carolina early this morning. Nothing severe by the time it got here. And due to that disturbance moving through, and another one that probably shifts through this morning, is probably going to work over the atmosphere a decent amount. So because of that, I don't think any really significant coverage of showers and storms today. Yes, during the heating of the day, probably a few isolated thunderstorms develop, but I just don't see anything to really key on today to trigger any major rounds of showers or storms. Now tomorrow, as that cold front moves in, it will kind of act as a triggering mechanism to kick off a few showers and thunderstorms. And then behind the front, weekend looks great. A little bit of a cooler and lower humidity type of air mass for us on Saturday and Sunday as well. So here's what's happening with the upper level pattern. We have that ridge still in place today, but that kind of collapses then as we head into the weekend. And that's going to allow the cooler air to move in. So today, pretty warm and steamy all around the region. That's a look at your highs today. Tomorrow, that front begins to play a role in our weather. You can see some of those cooler temperatures moving into the Virginias and then bleeding southward. And by the time we get to Saturday, there you go. What a great looking day. Saturday looks absolutely fantastic. Now, of course, lots of folks with outdoor plans Monday for Memorial Day. Looks like high pressure will be offshore by that point in time. A bit of a return flow in place. So warmer and muggier, but at the moment it looks pretty good. Rain chances relatively limited, not zero, but a lot of us probably can get away with the dry Memorial Day forecast. All right, here's the detailed upper level charts here from the European. Today there's your ridge still in place. That collapses over the weekend. This little disturbance drives that cold front to our south by late tomorrow. And then again, the weekend setup's a good one. Now, next week looks a little bit more unsettled. This little cutoff low will meander off to our west, and generally speaking, that could put us in a warm and muggy pattern favorable for the development of some afternoon thunderstorms on a relatively consistent daily basis next week. So, again, there's the cooler area of high pressure building in over the weekend. Then we go out to next week, and again, these are just a few snapshots from the European model. This is Monday afternoon. There's Tuesday afternoon. and Wednesday afternoon. You can get the idea that there'll be some afternoon showers and storms to contend with next week. Finally, the severe weather outlooks. Let's start off with a look at the storm reports, and there's that trail of wind damage with that disturbance I showed you earlier that went through Kentucky into the Tennessee mountains and kind of died in the North Carolina mountains. In terms of severe weather threats today, numerous slight risks out there. But in terms of the Carolinas, mountains have the highest threat of any severe storms, but any isolated storms that do pop up this afternoon could be locally strong to severe elsewhere across the region. And then as that front sags to the south, it begins to push the thunderstorm threat further to the south as well. All right, that is it for today's edition of the Carolina Weather Video. Everybody have a wonderful day, and God bless.